What's up? It's your favorite Northern Belle, aka it's your girl Jor, and welcome back for another episode of So Hear Me Out. Today we have a very special guest, our buddy Jonah. Hey Jonah.
Hey, Jor, good to see you. How you doing?
Good, how are
I'm
you?
doing well. I'm doing well.
Well, today is a very exciting episode. I say that every week, but here we are. Today is a very exciting episode because Jonah is going to educate us on some stuff that maybe just me, because I'm not super into certain stuff. So let's get into it. So hear me out, Jonah. Why are you interested in Marvel?
Why am I interested in Marvel? See, that's such a heavy question because, like, when you say Marvel, do you mean like superheroes in general or specifically Marvel?
Superheroes in general.
Superheroes in general.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, growing up, I wasn't really into superheroes that much.
Mm.
I was still a normal kid. I played video games and played outside, all that stuff. But like, I never was really attracted to superheroes, just because in the time of at the time of my life back then, I wasn't really drawn to that kind of thing.
Cool.
And then I think the older I got, the more I kind of got sucked in. I went to the
Mm-hmm.
movies back in I think it was 2014 and saw one of the Marvel movies that had come out, and all of a sudden I was hooked. I grew up on Batman, grew up on Spider-Man, but I never really had a actual love for superheroes until around that time.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, it just never stopped. I mean, you name it, you comics, superheroes. I can do Marvel. You name DC. Third-party comics, you name it, I'm into it. I've seen every movie. I've pretty much talked about every movie, and it's just been a love of mine ever since then. So it's not something that's been a childhood thing, but it's something
Mm-hmm.
that's grown into a phenomenon that I currently really love to enjoy.
Cool. So maybe because inquiring minds want to know what's the difference between DC and Marvel? Is there a difference? Are they like separate
So
entities?
it's kind of funny. DC and Marvel actually kind of rip each other off all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So think of it as like two siblings that don't get along very well, but they get along just enough to have dinner together. So
Mm-hmm.
like they'll share some things, but they rip each other off all the time. You can point to several superheroes that are basically the same on each side, but they change like one thing about it so they don't get sued. So they are two totally different companies. They are
Mm-hmm.
completely independent, but they do have a lot of similarities with each other. But it just comes down to the superficials.
Okay, cool. Um, we're gonna go back. We're gonna rewind the clock. It's just an ongoing theme here. Who were your childhood heroes? Like
My childhood heroes.
personally, yeah.
My childhood heroes. That's a really good question. I would say the quintessential superhero for me as a child
Mm-hmm.
was Spider-Man.
Okay.
Definitely Spider-Man. And I think the reason why I was drawn to Spider-Man, even though I wasn't a big fan of superheroes, was
Mm-hmm.
I could relate a lot to him. And I think that's a really important thing for both people my age and just people in general who love superheroes, is you can always find a couple of superheroes that you relate to.
Right.
And I think that's why they're so successful, is because I'll use Stan Lee as an example. He's the one who created pretty much all the Marvel characters. He
Okay.
wanted each Marvel character to have a sense of belonging, so that you look at that
Okay.
character and you go, hey, I can relate with a lot of the things he's dealing with. Peter Parker had girl problems. He's awkward. He doesn't really do well in social situations.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, deep down inside, he's caring. He's compassionate. He wants to
Yeah.
do the right thing. So as a kid, I was like, I want to be like him. I mean, plus he had a lot of great, video games and TV shows. But I think when you dig deep down to the core of who Spider-Man was, it was his personality that really stuck out to me.
Okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say like that's not real life, but in like your real life, growing up, like
Mm-hmm.
your here and now,
Like
who were
Jonah as a person.
Jonah as a person,
Yeah.
who was his like role model or hero when you were growing up?
See, I know a lot of people want to say, like, if especially if they had like a father figure or an uncle. For
Like, oh
me,
my
yeah, I want to say my
dad.
dad, but to be honest, there was a period because my dad was in the Navy.
Okay.
I actually didn't have him around for several years because he was on deployment, and so
Mm-hmm.
my mother kind of stepped up and became, the breadwinner and day to day person I came to. But when it came to someone I actually look up to, of course, it's always my father. But since he wasn't there, I had to kind of draw my attention to something that was real, something that was accessible to me.
Right.
And you're gonna laugh. This is kind of stupid to some people, but I ironically found a lot of draw and pull towards Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog. And I know a lot of people laugh at me when I tell them that, but if you keep me going, I'm gonna talk for hours about this. Um, when I was young, you're really impressionable. The first thing that you tend to see tends to be the stuff you latch onto.
Right.
And when I was, I'd say 5 or 6, I had my first Sonic the Hedgehog game for the Game Boy, and I got into it. And I was, having a great time playing it, and then I started to watch the TV shows. I started to watch more Sonic content. Started playing more Sonic games, and I started to realize that that was really a big factor of what defined me when I was young.
Mm.
Because if you think about it, Sonic had a lot of traits that I still carry with me to this day. He's fast. You know
You
me.
are a fast walker.
I talk fast. I walk fast. You see me. I'm
You're
everywhere I
out.
go. Yeah. But a lot of people could say, oh, that's just who Jonah is. But I can really say that being exposed to something like Sonic at a young age showed me, oh, wow, this dude's fast. He's fast
Yeah.
talking. He's fast moving. He has a heart for the people that are kind of, I wouldn't say abandoned, but the people in life who are down on their luck, and he's always wanting to help out and do the right thing.
Yeah.
And so when you're a kid looking for someone to look up to, that seemed to be the thing I was the most drawn towards. And so I can tell you several parts of my life where, especially as a young kid, I'd be like, wow, Sonic would want to help out that person, or Sonic would do that. And it wasn't, to me, it wasn't about, oh, that's just silly, that's for kids. No, for me, it was more than that, because that's what I was exposed to the most. And carrying now to where I'm a 24-year-old man, I still hold parts of my childhood very close to me, because for me,
Yeah.
what's the point of having a great childhood if you can't go back to it from time to time and reminisce and look at the good stuff? So that's probably why I would say I drew a lot of inspiration from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay. Do you see any correlations between Sonic and Spider-Man?
I would say yeah, because the more I thought about it when
Mhm.
I was preparing for this topic, was I was looking at all my favorite superheroes and just kind
Mhm.
of doing the in the movies and shows where they have like that picture on the wall and they put like red
The
tape or
map.
like yeah. So the more I did that, the more I realized that all of the superheroes I was drawn to all had the same general personality. Because if you
Mhm.
start to put two and two together, I'll throw out another superhero from DC, the Flash. The
Mhm.
Flash, Spider-Man, and Sonic were all huge parts of my early life. They all talk fast. They're all very fast. I'm going to keep saying fast because that's the key part is but that's what I was drawn to. And so the correlation between those for me was they all represented something that I wanted to be.
Mhm.
I wanted to be confident. I wanted to be strong, especially someone like me who struggled a lot with self-esteem when I was younger.
Yeah.
I was drawn to the overconfident, slightly cocky characters because that's what I wanted to be. I didn't want to be, an a-hole that, they can sometimes be an a-hole from time to time, but like
Yeah.
I wanted the best qualities while also weeding out the worst. So,
Right. Well, that's cool. Like, I know I didn't obviously grow up watching Marvel movies or something like that. Like, I think as close as I got to Marvel is like Transformers, and I know that's
mm.
nothing to do with Marvel. But I'm just like,
now, did you watch the Transformers TV show, or did you get into like just the Michael Bay movies?
the movies.
Okay, like the live action
No,
movies.
no.
I'm sorry. I'm digging way too deep. I'm sorry. My bad.
And I grew up around like my cousins, who could tell you all about the TV shows. They can go in depth into all these things. And for me, I would, of course, that was like my girly girl times. It was like, I like Bratz dolls, and that's what I like.
Mhm.
But I definitely see like how I don't think I had a fictional superhero, so to speak, but like I definitely cling to people who were outspoken and super opinionated, which hence here I am being super
Mhm.
opinionated and super outspoken. But let's fast forward a little bit. This is a little bit of a personal question. Jonah, do you want kids?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to introduce them into superheroes at a younger age, like earlier, kind of?
Is that even a question?
Absolutely.
I just want to know.
Absolutely.
The answer is without hesitation. My wife and I fight all the time. Not fight, but it's a good kind of fighting. We're
Yeah.
like when my child's born, sorry, when our child's born, I joke with her that I'm gonna pick a bunch of soundtracks for that kid to listen to when it's coming out the womb. And when the first present around the room, I'm gonna have Star Wars: The Imperial March playing. I'm gonna have
Okay.
something like ooh, I really want to have something to welcome him or her into the world. But my
Yeah.
wife was like, no, you can't do that. And I was like, all right. So our compromise is as soon as that kid is able to comprehend the important stuff,
Mhm.
we're going right into it. Because I mean, my wife and I both grew up really into this kind of stuff, and so we're
Mhm.
both on the same page that we see the importance of having fictional characters that you can look to who are good
Yeah,
examples. You know, I'm not gonna throw my kid in front of the screen and tell him to watch Spawn, which Spawn is basically a demon Spawn from third-party comics. Like, I'm not gonna throw my 3-year-old kid over there and be like, hey, this is your role model.
that's
But I
it.
am going to put the good stuff in front of them and be like, look, here's stuff that really impacted me, and that lets them kind of find their way.
Yeah.
Because regardless of who you are, I'm very much a outspoken fan of people having something that they can use throughout their early child life to kind of develop them even more.
Yeah. Um, so I, in looking up different things with childhood development and superheroes,
Mm-hmm.
I came across this article on the first5years.org. I'll link it for you guys. Um, the title is Superhero Play Holy Bat Trap Batman. This is a 2018 article, so it's a little older, but it's still kind of current. And it just talks about the benefits and then just kind of like the opportunities I guess you have
Mm-hmm.
with going into superheroes. So you know, most kids love superheroes. They love dressing up, put those capes on, and they're somebody completely different. And we love promoting that because imaginative play is super important. We want those brains to start thinking of things in different ways. But there are also the cons or opportunities of people who are allowing their kids to see these kind of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by no means am I going to be that kind of parent that's like, oh, cover your eyes, they're punching.
Mm-hmm.
Watch it, because if someone hits you, get your hit back. But there were some cons. So I'm gonna ask you, do you see any cons that it could be for children to watch certain things?
Yeah, so I think it really comes down to the type of media they're consuming.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I mentioned before, I'm not going to throw our child in front of the screen and just let them watch anything just because
Right.
I watch it. There needs to be certain parameters for sure, because when you expose children to certain types of media at a young age, it really can, like you said, impact them in a more negative sense. Um, I think the first thing we would do is, of course, start out with more of the kid friendly stuff, the
Yeah.
Cartoon Network. Um, there's a bunch of great animated superhero shows that are specifically designed for kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it really comes down to how fast and how quickly the child develops. Because there are some kids who are 7, 8 years old and they're able to process things that,
Yeah.
some kids a couple years older than them can't do, which is why I'm a huge fan of it. Comes down to the individual temperament of the child.
Right.
But that still doesn't mean just because little Tommy can, um, he knows what a swear word is, doesn't mean we go, oh, cool, all right, you're coming with me to the next, R-rated superhero movie.
Right.
There needs to still be parameters, but I'm very much a fan of starting your children out with a proper, almost plan of what you want to do, because my wife and I very much stress the importance of working together and not working as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And so her and I really focus on um, being unified with telling our kids things, so that the kid doesn't come to me and go, hey, dad, can I watch this? And I'm like,
Right.
sure. But then mom said, hey, you're not allowed to watch that. So in order to nip that in the bud, there really needs to just be communication.
Yeah.
So in closing, just kind of going back to your original point, I definitely think that there needs to be parameters, without a doubt.
Yeah. Some of the things that were coming up was the violence aspect.
Mhm.
Of course, we see Superman, Spider-Man, Batman as the heroes. They're the great guys, but they're also being super destructive
Mm-hmm.
in the meantime. He did catch the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
However, half of the city is in shambles.
He leveled half the city. Yeah.
So different things like that are the things. And then even for little girls, seeing people like Wonder Woman and their super tight costumes and
Mm-hmm.
how their women can be super sexualized
Mm-hmm.
in this aspect. So it's like, are we showing little girls that their superpowers have to be shown by their breasts being out and their thighs being out, things like that? And that's super
That's a touchy subject. That's definitely a touchy subject.
Right.
I would say the more I think about it, it really comes down to how you explain things to them. I keep going back to, you really have to make sure that you're not participating in your child's development. You still need to be able to explain things like, hey, I know a lot of the shows do a good job of not overtly sexualizing things, or not overly endorsing violence, especially in the Spider-Man animated shows. They really focus on the end game of Peter Parker basically going, I want to stop the bad guys with as little damage as possible.
Yeah.
Granted, Batman's a whole nother story, but even he in his animated shows focus on pulling less away from the violence part and more on the story driven character arcs.
Right.
But like you said, it really comes down to I need to be able to talk with my son or daughter and go, hey, either what you just saw, this is how we interpret it, and this is, something that would help make more sense to you. Because thankfully, in the day and age that we are right now, there's plenty of comic books, there's plenty of comic shows full of different types of characters, all shapes and sizes and colors. And so there's no one specific superhero that you can point your child to look up to. There's a bunch of them out there, and they're all unique in their own way. But like you said, if Wonder Woman's skirt is looking a little too tight, or Batman, starts whooping a bunch of dudes and starting to get a little graphic, that's your chance to, if you're watching it with your child, take a pause and go, hey, what are we watching? Explain it to me. And then you have a back and forth. Because that installs trust, and it shows your child that you're working with them and not against them. Because if you just turn off the TV and walk away, what are they going to see you as? Oh, you're the person who's taken away everything. They view you in a negative light. So I think there really just needs to be unity instead of division.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's ever too soon to have these kind of conversations? Like, are you going to be the parent that's like the goo goo gaga baby talk, or like the hello young man, are you hungry kind of talk?
First of all, if our child is as dumb as I was when I was born, that kid's not going to be talking until he or she's like 3 or 4. Anyway, I'm sorry. Self-deprecating humor is just a part of who I am. My wife would
she would hit you.
Yeah, she'd hit me if she could hear me talking right now. I love her. I lost my train of thought.
Jonah, is it?
I know.
How are you going to communicate with your kids? Are you going to like slowly bring it in, or are you going to just strictly be like, we speak English?
No.
This is what this is.
Would it be too far of a stretch to say we're team Goo Goo Gaga? We're team Goo Goo Gaga.
Yeah.
There's no sense. I'm not gonna immediately force my child to develop quicker. Like I said before, the thing I keep saying is being ready to adjust based on the child's development. And we're not gonna rush anything. We're gonna, like, especially as a new parents, you want to enjoy the moment. You want to savor it. You want to buy the baby toys. You want to, have time just learning your ABCs and watching the kids spit up all over the place and, pour a big old bowl of Cheerios off the side of the counter. Like, those are the moments that ironically you want to live for. And so I'm very much on the line of enjoy each moment. Do not have an itinerary or agenda to expose your child to things that you want them to do just because you like it.
Yeah.
Like just because I like superheroes, I'm not going to go, hey, by age 3, you must have a complete concept of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. No, that's not how that works.
That's completely understandable, because I'm 25 and I still am sitting here like, I really want to understand so bad.
And it's hard to know where to start too.
Yeah,
that's the hardest part.
That was actually going to be my question. Where is a good place to start for people who are trying to just get into this new universe? Because that's what it is. It's a complete different universe. So where is a good place to start?
I would say try to avoid. I know some people got started out by reading comics, but those were normally the people who, not to classify people by age, but more on the older side who, that was all they had back then. And some people did get started now with reading comics, but the majority of the people have gotten exposed to superheroes in general from things like the MCU, because they are the most clear and concise form of media that most people these days could grab a hold of. If I dropped you in the middle of one movie, or at the beginning of one movie in the middle of the MCU, you would at least be able to have a basic understanding of what's going on. Now, if I dropped you in the middle of one of the sequels to a previously established movie, like if I dropped you in the middle of Endgame and I was like, hey, watch this and enjoy it, you're going to be like, I don't know what the heck's going on. So I think it just begins and ends with starting you off the right way, starting you off with, it's going to sound super cheap, but starting off with the first MCU movie. That's all you have to do is ask around, do some research, ask your friends who are into that kind of stuff, hey, where should I start? And I guarantee you every single one of them will know exactly where to get you introduced. And if you're not into it, that's fine. I'm not here saying that, you have to like superheroes, but if there's something you're interested in, the MCU is always a great place to start.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer in being at least well versed this much in certain things so you can go into rooms and know what you're talking about. So expect a text from me after this episode so I can you where I need to start.
It's all good. I got you. I got you.
So I hope this is not controversial.
Go for it.
What, besides of course the culture and like the origin, is there a similarities between Marvel and anime?
Good question. That's a really good question. Because I know if I put myself in the mind of someone who doesn't really see the difference, I could see where they would make connections.
Yeah.
But I mean, personally, I don't know if I'm kind of marking myself with this, but I was never a huge fan of anime.
Neither.
It was one of those things where I respect you if you're into anime. You know, I've got no problems with it. I've tried to get on it a couple of times, but it legitimately is just not my thing. I will support anyone who likes anime, but I just can't vibe with it.
It's not my thing.
Exactly. So my thing is, I can pretty much tell you the biggest difference for me between anime and Marvel, DC, superhero comic stuff is anime is a lot more stylized. Anime is a lot more visually impactful. Anime lovers are probably going to come after me because I don't know much about it. I'm just spitballing, but I do believe that anime has a different type of story, as opposed to the MCU or the DCU. But the biggest thing that sticks out to me is the animation style and the focus on, I'm not going to say style over substance because again that's going to get me killed, but style over certain other aspects that superheroes would normally focus on.
Yeah.
Plus it's easier to do a live action adaptation of a comic book rather than a live action adaptation of an anime, because it seems like all the anime movies that come out that are adaptations seem to do terrible because it's not meant for that type of media unless you do it right.
Yeah, I think for me, if I could like separate the two, I feel like anime is like ultimate imaginative play because I just could not see certain stuff going on. Like I've tried to do the Demon Slayer thing. I've even tried Hunter x Hunter. One Punch Man, I felt like it was just repetitive. We knew what he was gonna do.
The only show I was able to get through all the way was Jujutsu Kaisen. That was the only one I was able to get through, and that was because all my friends were like, "Look, you need to watch at least one series." One series. So I did it.
Yeah, I'm out here meeting quotas. Like I go, like when I'm asked, I go to the movies and I watch the movies, and I'm just sitting there like, this is so great. This is awesome. I'm super excited for the next one. And then like, is, oh my god, I'm gonna butcher it. Shang-Chi, whatever his name is. How do you say it?
It's Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi. He's Marvel. This is
Good
how
job.
I learned something because we went to a drive-in movie to watch it.
Nice.
The real Marvel fans stay for the ending for like that other thing.
Post-credit scene.
And I'm like, because I'm like getting in the car. I'm like, okay, well, it's time. He was like, we're not leaving. I said, oh,
You'll learn that real quick with MCU movies. My wife and I, we laugh every time we go to see a Marvel movie because you can always tell. I'm not going to say people like you, but you know what I'm saying. Like, as soon as the movie's done, everybody stands up and walks away. And we're just like,
you guys are going to miss it. The real movie's coming on.
Where are y'all going? Like, this is literally going to change the whole, like, dynamic of the MCU. And they're just like, yep, I'm done. And this is, like, opening night, too. So I don't know what they were thinking. But, yeah, that's definitely a big part.
Because that was Venom was another one that we saw, and it was like you have to stay and what. And by then I felt like I learned my lesson one time, so I just sat there and was like super excited to watch the last part.
See, Marvel has kind of given people trust issues now, because once Marvel started doing post-credit scenes back in Iron Man, a bunch of other studios started to see that, and they're like, oh, we could copy that. And so now you got everybody and their mother that makes movies are putting post-credit scenes in the most random type of movies. So now you just can't get up now and leave after the credits for any movie because you don't know, is it gonna have a post-credit scene, is it not? And it's a testament to, you know, how revolutionary Marvel was, because they started it pretty much. But still, it gives people trust issues now, because now you can't stay for nothing.
Absolutely, because I mean, I would be super upset if I finally get into a Marvel series or something and I'm just like, okay, we're gonna stay for the whole thing, I'm pumped, and nothing goes on. I'm just gonna be like, this is Okay.
And they've done that a few times to troll their fans and stuff. Like they put a random stupid ending to as a post-credit scene as their way of saying, "Why'd you guys wait this long?" So they know. They know. They know.
I mean, that's like, I like that. I feel like Marvel or DC, like that's a personality type. Like you can kind of see the personalities through these different things, kind of, sort of.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, granted, all the same. Like everyone pretty much. It's kind of like being a human. Everyone pretty much breathes the same
Mhm.
for the most part, but how we interpret things are super different. How we adapt
Mhm.
things are super different.
Mhm.
But I think that's really insightful. I never really put together, I guess, you and Sonic, or you and the Flash,
Mm-mm.
or you and Spider-Man.
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh. Because when I met you, I was like, he walks really fast. I don't, why is he walking? There's nothing that's that pressing. Why is he walking so
We're
fast?
just trying to get our money so we can go home. That's all that matters.
I mean, I feel like in that sense, you were definitely the superhero of that godforsaken place. You were you were part of the dream team of superheroes in that godforsaken place, because it was just like,
Uh,
we don't know where this is. Call Jonah. Call Jonah. Call Jonah. Team Lead Jonah.
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
PTSD is coming.
Yeah, I wouldn't call myself a hero. I'd call myself more of like an anti-hero because I still wanted to burn some things down. I just suppressed it deep down inside. You know what I'm saying? Like I kept that hidden way deeper
You did.
than I probably should have. I should have let it out a couple more times, but
I was prepared for the day after your last day. I just knew all the carts are gonna have one wheel, and I'm just gonna have to deal with it.
every other bag is gonna be cut on the bottom. So like you pick it up and things are falling right through. I'd find a way to do something like that. I had ideas, but
And like we were game planning some, and I was like, I'm super excited. I cannot wait for the day after. And nothing, you left really peacefully, and I was like,
I think once my last day came, I was like, you know what? My mission is to just go home now. I've made it. Like,
yeah,
the longer I like, what's the point? Life goes on. You know, the way you leave your last job is how you enter your next job. And so for me, it's like I wanted to keep the vibes going. You know, everything was really positive. So
yeah,
yeah,
it was super positive. Everybody loved you.
mostly,
Mostly
mostly.
loved you. I mean, you had the people with you who were just gonna back you up, and if it was wrong, it was gonna be wrong, and we were
Then
just
it
gonna
is
have
what
to
it
deal
is.
with it.
If you're gonna be confident, at least be confident about something. Because
Yeah,
then if you're not if you're not right, at least you convince people you were right. So
that's, hey, that's like being a politician. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're just up here talking. Thank you for at least you're talking. At least we know you're not shy. Thank you for talking to everybody. So, how would you define a hero?
I would say a hero is someone who's selfless,
Mm-hmm.
who puts other people above himself or herself. Um, a hero is someone who doesn't hesitate to do the right thing, even when the people or circumstances around him or her changes. The end game should all be about doing the right thing. And for me, that's always been what a hero is. And there's times where um, you start to lose sight of, what gets you up in the morning. But to
Right.
me, if I can be at least an inspiration to one more person in how I go about my day,
Mm.
then I can go to bed knowing that I've done the right thing. Um, and a hero could be anybody. I mean, you hear it, being preached on every single, superhero show or movie is that,
Yeah.
anybody could be a hero. And
Anybody.
it's true. It is
Yeah.
true. Whoever you are, whatever circumstance you're in, whatever place of life that you're at, you always have the opportunity to make someone else's day better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as simple as that. You don't have to save a baby from a burning building. You could be at Kroger and get a bag for an older woman who's having trouble getting something off the top shelf.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So for me, it's simple. A hero is looking out for others, doing the right thing against all odds.
Yeah. It's cool. I like that. Are you gonna, well, I guess, is it gonna like make your heart flutter when your kid's like, Dad, you're my hero?
We're not gonna get into that right now because
Aw.
I'm I can't even give you the words. Like I'm so excited.
Oh,
I've always wanted to be a father, and my wife is awesome, and I can't wait for
she
her to
is.
be a mother. But I think just the concept of having kids is something that's super exciting for me
Yeah.
because um, you kind of reflect on your own life and you think, I wish I would have done this better. I wish I would have done that better. I could have gone here. I could have done that. And in a way, you get a second chance with your children because you don't have to tell them what to do, but
Yeah.
you can at least be like, hey, my ceiling is your floor, and
Oh
so I
wow.
want you to stand on my shoulders, and I'll show you where I went wrong, and I'll be honest with you about the mistakes I made. The rest is in your hands, and you have the freedom to do what you want to do, but yet know that we love you, we're here for you, and I really want my and our children to experience the stuff that maybe neither one of us ever got to experience. So
Wow. Are you guys looking into adopting a 25-year-old young lady? She's super impressionable.
how much is that 25-year-old willing to contribute to gas?
She will stay at her own residence. She just needs adult supervision.
We'll talk. We'll negotiate. My negotiating table is open.
Awesome, awesome. But no, that's super exciting that like
Mm-hmm.
you guys are like ahead of the game, kind of sort of, because you guys are already having those big conversations and you know where you want to go with it. And I'm telling you, Auntie Joy doesn't know a darn thing, but I will pay for superhero camp. I got y'all.
Auntie George just happy to be here.
I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah,
Put a cape on me. That's all I need.
and that's all it really is.
So if you could rewrite, get your words together. You could rewrite um any superhero, any movie, which one would it be?
Rewrite
Yeah, like you could be the one producing it, making those changes. Like which one would it be?
from the ground up.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never been asked that question before. So yeah, gold star, gold star. That's a good question. We're talking about, let's say there's a movie coming out
Mm-hmm.
and I have the say in what
Yeah,
it's gonna look
they're
like.
asking you. They see your podcast. They're like, "Oh, he has great insight. Let's get him in this room. We need his insight. You're the final say on what this looks like."
I'm gonna pivot away from superheroes but still keep that theme.
Okay.
Um I would absolutely love to write and direct a Star Wars movie.
Mm.
I would love to, because I didn't really touch on it much through this episode, but
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much safe to say I'm a Star Wars fan above all else.
Cool beans.
I love Marvel, I love DC, I love Sonic, I love all that stuff, but I have always been a Star Wars kid, and in some of my YouTube videos I kind of be a little more critique filled when it comes to how Star Wars is going these days. I just feel like the direction's not something that I can totally get with, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm just worried about some quality problems.
Right.
So if someone came up to me and tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, you've got full creative control, I would love to develop a Star Wars movie for the fans, for the people like me who want it to be the best that it can be. Like we're not haters. We're not, knocking down the doors of executives going, hey, out with the old in with the new, but we're at least saying, hey, listen to us every now and then and at least hear what we have to say, because we all have
Mm-hmm.
great ideas. It's just, I feel like studios these days in general have a focus on profits above all else, and
Mm-hmm.
if they have to sacrifice story or quality, they'll gladly do that in a heartbeat, as long as butts are in seats, which I
Right.
mean, they've won. My butt's in the seat every single time, regardless of how good the movie is. So that kind of makes me a little bit sad, because it's like, I want to send a message, but it seems like the only way you can send a message is by not giving them what they want, which is money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is what it is. This is the world we live in. So I'd love to do a Star Wars movie.
I think that's awesome. Would you do like a Star Wars musical like on Broadway, or would you do like just solely like why are you looking like that?
I'm trying to imagine a Star Wars Broadway play, but I'm probably not going to do Broadway.
I could see it.
Really?
I feel like that's the one time I'm gonna sit there and watch Star Wars.
Well,
I'm gonna go.
write
to
your
the musical.
write your draft and submit it to me, and then
Bet.
we'll take a look at it. But nah, I would probably not touch Broadway. I would say just a standalone. I'd
Motion
say
picture.
I'd say I want to say character focus, but I mean I would probably try to pick one or two specific characters, and I would try to go with that, because if I had to pick a random character, I would probably say there's a lot of talk of doing a Darth Vader origin
Mm.
story. There's a lot of rumors about that, but I would, um, as I'd be a little nervous about jumping on something like that, but I would want to kind of try my hand at that because you could do a lot of flashbacks to when he was
Yeah.
younger, with intermingling some present day stuff with where he's at. And you probably don't know anything that I'm saying, but
No,
like
I completely
episode.
understand. I know who
Cool,
Darth
yeah.
Vader is.
Oh, cool, cool, cool. So like where he's at before episode 4, I think a perfect time to explore Vader would be in between episodes 3 and 4. So after Anakin turns to the dark side
Mhm.
and before we see episode 4. Obi-Wan Kenobi tried to do some of it, but again, Vader was barely in that. So if you gave him his own spotlight and showed how he became the most powerful Dark Lord in the galaxy, I think that's a fascinating concept. So I'd love to do something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't, of course, I don't know too much about this realm, but I'd watch it. I don't know if this is normal. I love villain origin stories.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said, and this is probably just explains my personality a lot. I'd rather be a villain than a superhero. They get the best theme songs, they get the best costumes.
They have more fun.
It's super fun. You cause chaos, and that's your purpose. Your purpose is to cause chaos. But it's never like you're causing chaos because you just want to be a messed up individual. Like most times, the villains are minding their business. They're just trying to do what they're trying to do. And here comes somebody happy trying to just save them. Let these people die. Did you die though? Like, let me do what I gotta do.
Or they're just trying to prove a point.
Right. Who was that? Incredibles. Who was the first?
Syndrome.
Syndrome was just trying to be a friend. The villain origin story was like the Incredibles is like perfect. His origin story was there. You saw it.
What does he say? If everyone's super, then no one will be.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah.
That's me. I feel like I'm Syndrome. Just call me Syndrome.
You just gotta get your hair to go up, and then you got the exact same, and then just dye it, and you're good to go.
I'm almost sure I have a baby picture with my hair like that, so it's giving villain origins. Jonah, if you could pick one, what would be your superpower?
I'm not gonna say super speed because that's too obvious.
You have it already.
I feel like that would answer it from without me having to say anything. A lot of people say they'd want to read minds, but I feel like that'd be too much. I feel like that'd be too much to handle. Even if you learn how to control it, I don't want to know what you're doing. That's your business. That's your business. Let life have some kind of mystery to it.
Right.
When I was in high school, we had to do something like that for a project, and I wrote my superpower would be the ability to print money. And then my teacher's like, "That's not how that works." And I was like, "But it's still a superpower." Yeah. It's like Spider-Man, instead of shooting webs, you shoot money. But apparently that's not cool enough. I'm trying to go outside the box because you've got super flight, you've got super speed, super strength. Yeah. I would probably, super speed. I keep coming back to that. It's who I am.
It's who you are.
It's who I am. Why run from my destiny? Like,
wow, play on words.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I just realized. You see what I did there? I totally planned that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say super speed because there's a lot of ways I could have fun with that. Now, my only thing is that if I had the same powers as the Flash also had to eat a lot to keep up with the calories that he was losing. So I don't know where I'd get the money to keep my diet up to where I could survive. But if we're going just completely hypothetical with no repercussions, super speed.
Super speed.
No more traffic. No more gas.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't really know. I feel like
think about your like what defines you as a person. Think about your character qualities. Think about like, someone who like, is mentally strong-willed. A lot of the times they go with super strength. Yeah. Because it's like you're combining two great things, your strong mind, and then now, you're the strongest person on the planet. So it's similar things like that.
If I had a superpower, I would have the superpower of common sense. Like I would just have to like force it upon people. I work in HR, so that like common sense is the most uncommon thing that I see. So it's just like, if I had that superpower, I would give people like common sense. I would bless people with common sense. Like that would be, and it would solve so many of the world's issues.
Yeah.
Boom, common sense. They're like, you know what? You're right. I'm not gonna say that to him. I'm gonna go talk to somebody else to de-escalate the situation. Thank you.
So you're gonna laugh. The first thing that came to my mind, ironically, was a South Park episode. There's a I guess I could call him a superhero, but his name is Captain Hindsight,
Hmm.
and his superpowers, he can use hindsight. So like people would there'd be like a burning building that would crash down, and then he'd show up when the firefighters there, and he's like, in the future, never leave your oven running when you're gone. Goodbye, and he like flies off. It's like, that's a superpower. I don't know why, when you said common sense, it reminded me of Captain Hindsight. I'm sorry, like that's just where my mind went.
Oh my gosh. I'd be Captain Common Sense.
Captain Common Sense.
Come on, come on.
I respect that. I respect that.
I feel like that's an essential thing. People need common sense.
We need some more of that these days.
We do, and I just feel like if that was my superpower, I'd be out here just throwing common sense. You get common sense, just throw it around.
Just start with me, because I think my wife would appreciate that.
Oh please, that would take the fun out of every day.
That's true. But see, there's another question then. You give everybody common sense, and then all of a sudden everyone does all the normal boring stuff. You know, what happens to chaos? You kind of lose a little bit of chaos when everyone gets smart.
Common sense, yes, right, but ignorance.
Okay. All right. So we're getting deeper into it. Yeah.
People are going to do it. There has to be somebody who's going to rebel eventually. Clearly, people do it every day, so it's natural to rebel for things like this. So I feel like they would work out eventually. They'd be like, you know what? I don't want to have common sense today. I'm going to go run a red light. Thanks. Thank you so much for this. Like, I needed that. I needed you to make sure that I could still use my powers. Things like that.
Captain Common Sense is a good start, but we'll work on that. We'll see if we can get
You
you
develop
like
it. Yeah.
yeah.
I'll send it to your people.
Yeah, put in pre-production.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a pilot. Just show you guys what's coming with Captain Common Sense.
Pilot's just gonna be like 30 minutes of you going, "Stop being dumb,"
and a big brain costume. Come on.
Get over yourself.
Oh my gosh, with pink, like the Sailor Moon boots, like the really high boots.
It's like, you look stupid. What are you doing?
What are you doing? They'd be
Just
like,
stop.
They'd be like, I look stupid and you're wearing a brain. Okay. You know. Well, Jonah, you've heard me out. What do you have for the people? What's your gem for the people?
All right, so hear me out. Whatever gave you a spark in your childhood, it also can be carried with you into adulthood. So it's not childish to put together a Lego set when you're 24 years old. Just like how there's nothing wrong with booting up your PlayStation 2 and playing your old childhood games. The older I get, the more I realize that I don't want to take life for granted. There's some days where like I forget that, you know, at the end of the day, we're all just people trying to push on to the next day. And the day that I let go of my childhood and I let go of who I am, the world just starts to get more gray and some of that color starts to leave. And honestly, that's when I lose a piece of who I really am. So I would say to, you know, everybody who's listening, don't lose sight of your childhood. You know, go back, think about the things that you did, whether it's superheroes, comic books, favorite movies, you know, icons, things that you grew up that really defined you as a person. Or if it's nothing serious, just something that gave you good feelings.
Yeah.
And revisit that. Because sometimes when life gets too heavy and bills stack up and, you know, you start to wake up every morning feeling like you're doing the same thing, throw a wrench in it, you know, do something different, you know, like experiment, have fun, and keeps me young at heart, you know, it gives me something to smile about. You know, that's just how I see it.
Yeah, I love that. Well, you guys have heard us out. We want to hear you guys out down below. Let us know what would be your superpower. Thanks for listening. Bye. Hey guys, don't forget to check out Jonah's podcast, The Cosmic Broadcast, here on YouTube.